So today, we're going to try and unlock the blueprint of a truly perceptive mind. We're going to explore that really rare sweet spot where proven markers of high intelligence meet the traits of a unique, very complex personality type and reveal a pretty powerful inner world. All right, so let's just dive right in with a big question. What does genuine brilliance, that deep perception, really truly look like? I mean, is it just about having a high IQ, or are there deeper patterns of behavior going on? Well, it turns out it's way more than just raw intellect. We're about to see how certain behavioral markers of intelligence, the kind that are really hard to fake, actually merge with the traits of the world's rarest personality type to create a truly powerful psychological profile.
So you can kind of think of what we're doing here as a tool for self-discovery, a way to recognize these intricate markers and patterns within yourself and maybe better understand your own inner code.
Okay, so the personality type we're really going to focus on is the INFJ. And it's a profile so incredibly rare, it's only found in about 2% of the population. And that scarcity, well, that's a huge reason why their psychological blueprint is so distinct. So, what exactly is an INFJ? Well, it stands for introversion, intuition, feeling, and judgment. They're often called the counselor or the advocate. And what really sets them apart is this deep emotional intelligence and, this powerful, almost spooky intuition that lets them operate on a whole different wavelength. All right, so let's take a look at how this inner world actually shows up, starting with a preference for solitude. It's a behavioral trait that powerfully connects both high intelligence and the INFJ profile. This is where things get really interesting, because you can see the parallels so clearly here. You've got this pattern of intelligence, preferring solitude to think and plan, and then you have a core trait of the INFJ who needs that alone time not just for planning, but for emotional recharging. It's basically the same behavior, just driven by slightly different internal needs. And this quote, it just nails the why behind it all. This isn't about being antisocial. It's a deliberate behavioral pattern. They're observing, they're processing, and they're waiting for a connection that feels genuinely worth their energy. So, the big takeaway here is that this inner focus, it's actually a superpower. It allows for deeper, more creative work and fosters connections that are way more meaningful. They just thrive away from the noise of big crowds, in spaces where their unique insights can really come to life. Okay, next up, let's talk about an empath's view of the world. Here, we'll dig into one of the most powerful psychological markers that connects these profiles, a profound emotional intelligence that just completely shapes how they experience, well, everything. At a basic level, one of the biggest signs of high intelligence is having a strong EQ, right? It's that ability to be sensitive to what other people need and to navigate social situations with real understanding. But the INFJ, well, they take this to a whole other level. Their powerful intuition lets them read people almost instantly. They don't just understand what someone is feeling, but they often get the deeper motivations for why they're feeling it. And this really gets to a critical difference. See, it's one thing to perceive an emotion, it's another thing entirely to absorb it. This psychological pattern of actually taking on other people's feelings can be an incredible gift for empathy, for sure, but man, it can also be an emotionally overwhelming burden. All right, let's shift gears and talk about the drive for perfection. We're going to see how this internal depth fuels a really powerful, future-focused vision for creativity and quality. So this three-step process you're seeing, it's a classic hallmark of a lot of highly intelligent people. It all starts with being open-minded, then it moves to innovative, outside-the-box thinking, and it finishes with the focus and the skill to actually turn that vision into a reality. Now, for the INFJ, this is where a really fascinating internal tug-of-war shows up. They value beauty and quality craftsmanship so much, but that same desire for perfection can create this paralyzing fear of failure, which often leads to procrastination. It's a constant psychological battle between their super high standards and the anxiety of not meeting them. So what's really driving them? It's this powerful vision for the future. This behavioral pattern means they make huge life decisions, but their career, their relationships, all based on whether they see clear potential for growth and for meaning down the road. So, let's bring this all together. What does this actually mean for you? We've seen how these psychological traits, solitude, empathy, perfectionism, all weave together. So let's synthesize what this unique personal blueprint really reveals about a person. When you lay all these traits out, a really clear picture starts to form. It's a profile that's defined by a rich inner world, everything from deep self-awareness to this complex empathy. They have an almost intuitive perception of the outer world, and it's all driven by this core need for authenticity and purpose in everything they do.
But at the end of the day, this isn't really about slapping a label on yourself. It's about recognizing the psychological patterns and behavioral traits that make up your own unique inner compass. Understanding this blueprint can help you navigate the world in a way that feels more authentic to who you really are.
So, we'll leave you with something to think about. When you look at these complex psychological traits, from that deep empathy to a drive for perfection, how does your own unique blueprint shape the world that you see?